Welcome to the Rockerness Podcast, where we interview musicians about how they got into writing songs, and they play us the earliest one they can remember. We talk about their journey from there and what they're getting up to now. I'm your hostess, Rose Sean, joined as always by my co-hosts Terence LeClaire and Tony Tancredi. This is a special episode. We're coming to you once again from the Waymore Guest House and Casual Club in Nashville, Tennessee, and it is our final episode in our series within a series with Nashville artists. It is also our last episode before we go on a little break to finish up the rest of season 3. It might also be, and this is a very tough call, don't tell our other guests, maybe my favorite episode to date. Our guests today are just so funny and so clever, and their music is so good, and it was just the best time. Once the only indie band in Nashville, Johny Fisher and Aaron Martin are the psychedelia-tinged, Motown-inflected duo-turned-collective Okey Dokey. After their buzzy tropical sex groove project Soul Cat parted ways, Okey Dokey have embarked on a musical odyssey of collaboration with such artists and producers as Zella Day, Raylan Baxter, Jonathan Rado, No Vacation, Devin Gilfillian, Liz Cooper, previous guest Andres Algado from Jive Talk, and the list goes on. They've played Austin City Limits, they make such sick jams, and they have such good stories. We cover a lot of territory here, from trying to impress girls with the wrong genre of music, to smoking weed with your parents, or someone else's parents, to good-naturedly trolling famous people at South by Southwest. There's really something for everyone. You're going to want to stick around to hear why you can't trust anything that's too sweet, so settle in for this super fun hang with Okey Dokey.
They had us film an acoustic performance for a Make-A-Wish Foundation kind of thing years ago, and they didn't really tell us when it was going to happen, and it was really late in the day at Bonnaroo, and we were all like really drunk and like,
oh no,
it was a shit show of a performance. They had us do it in this bed.
Oh, for the kids?
Yeah, and I felt so bad.
Just for the kids,
yeah. And after I quit
it's
drinking, I like called them and I was like,
no.
you got to let us do it again. Like I was clearly like, you can't show children that. And they were like, they're going to love it. And I was like, whatever.
Are they?
So at midnight they come try to find you guys, and you guys are all drunk, and they're just like, "Hey, you need to play for the kids."
It was bad, and my voice was literally going away. And I think I even apologized at the end of the song. I was like, "Sorry, but
I forgot about the kids.
Right,
Tell the kids we're sorry.
You're like, I've been shouting for hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
we love you, little Jimmy. And
this performance is good. Jimmy will live.
The pressure. That's what they told us. I was like, guys, I can't. I'm in no condition. They were like, but the kids. And I was like, oh.
Did they?
Damn it. Okay, for the kids.
That's how they always get you, guilt trip you with the kids.
But that's
hilarious. Johnny and Aaron.
Yeah.
Okey Dokey
Hey.
boys. My boys are
Wait.
here in front of me.
Were we already doing it?
We've been rolling for like 10 minutes.
God.
That's how I trick
Always
you.
be rolling.
We just get
ABR.
talking.
Okay.
We are
ABR.
here at the Waymore's Guest House in Nashville. It's a beautiful hotel.
Yeah, this
And-
place is rad.
Yeah, and
We're in the King Bunker. Is that the name of
the
the
King
room?
Bunker.
The
Yeah,
King
I have
Bunker.
a bed in here
That's what
and then
this
2
is
bunk
called?
beds in case you guys get tired during the interview. You guys can lay down.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
there's
wow.
Johnny, I know you get pretty tired.
We do get very sleepy.
You get very sleepy. Yeah.
Yeah, unseasonably sleepy this year.
We have the King's List if you need a place to get a burger or tacos later.
Ooh, why don't you just list a couple places right now?
Go.
Nope. I'm a breatharian now. I've dyed my hair red. I'm going to the Druidic tradition.
You look amazing.
I'm not eating food anymore.
No food.
Staring
Never.
at the
Just
sun.
light.
Yep, at the sun to a
Yeah.
30-degree angle, and then after that it's a little too heavy. But before that it's
Gets
breakfast,
full.
and after that it's dinner.
What was that documentary where there was the dude that led that, and then he got busted like at a Chinese buffet,
Just
and
pigging out.
Well, he said, he went when he got caught outside of it. The guy's like, "Hey, you said you always do this," and he's got the camera on him, and he's like, "I didn't eat anything. I go there to smell."
Oh,
and so then
liar.
the guy was like, "I don't believe you." So he went into the restaurant and was like, "Did that guy just eat?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay."
Yeah, he had 3 meals.
Well, it's
Wow.
like Jersey Mike's. Do they have Jersey Mike's out here? like
we
the-
used to.
They say
A Jersey Mike's?
Well, they say their
100%.
smells are free. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the smells are free.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you're on a budget, you know.
That's true.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now Danny DeVito's on it.
Jersey Mike's is what keeps like office workers young. So they're anywhere that there's like a WeWork or anything of that nature, you know, because
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going to get the hot steaming turkey today. I'm like, I'm 17 again. Just like when I worked at Jersey Mike's.
I'm back.
It takes them back.
Jersey Mike's is the fountain of youth, actually.
Literally.
Everybody's been looking for it for like centuries, and
That's
it
why
turns
they-
out it's just Jersey Mike's.
Wait, you didn't already
Slowly.
know that?
That's why the smells
I
are
didn't.
free.
I guess it's not a
What's
very
the chain
well
that just
kept secret.
closed? Quiznos.
Quiznos. Rest in
closed?
peace.
We had Quiznos, but they all closed.
Do you remember those commercials?
I was
they
about
used
to say
do?
those
The little
wild
hamster or
commercials.
whatever?
Yeah. We love the subs.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what? There was
okay,
hamsters
yeah.
singing about
With a
little
campaign
hamsters.
like that, how did they
Wait,
go out of business?
No, those were turtles. They were turtles, right?
I loved it. No,
think
it
they
was
were
like
hamsters.
it was
It was
like
mice or
2003 or 2004, and those weird little animations where it was like they were like little fur balls, but like with weird like human eyes
Googly
and
eyes.
mouths.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Furbies?
That's
They looked
creepy.
like weird.
They were
It was
Furby
Furby. It was
adjacent.
Furby.
That's
Yes.
creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you remember that? You don't remember that?
sorry.
I don't
thing?
remember that. That
It
sounds
was
creepy.
so deeply bizarre, and I just remember seeing it and being like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck?" I kind of like it though. Like it didn't make me buy any subs, but you know, I enjoyed
Never
it.
does.
And later you were at a Hutton hotel and they were like, thank you for coming to the furry thing. And you're like, what? And then like a flashback to Quiznos came up. And
Yeah.
I just want to get real deep on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying to put all this in the show
Well, let's
notes.
go deep. Let's go deep back in time though,
go way
because
back.
Let's travel back.
we're kind of. I mean, we're kind of interested in what you're doing now, but what we're primarily interested in is like,
birth.
like
How were you born?
Backwards, upside down.
Well, just like how did you get into music in the very first place?
Because we say everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, I was forced into piano.
Yep.
Oh, really?
I was too, a little bit.
Had to
Did,
bow
did
at
the teacher
seat.
hit your hands?
No, I don't.
that's a
I don't
thing.
even think they had many expectations. I was from East Texas, so the fact that I was a boy and wanted to play piano alone was like they were just like it's kind of like the guy dancers,
That's
you know.
super poetic.
They're never mean to guy dancers because there's only like 3.
Yeah.
And if they piss one of those guys off, they only have 2 male dancers, and it's never gonna work. So I think I was like the unicorn in Nacogdoches, Texas, and they were like, "Let's give
What?
this guy." And I wasn't even reading the music. I'm probably was just like Ray Charleston, but not any good notes. But I did it for 2 years, and then I gave up. And then my grandmother bought me a guitar in 7th grade because I needed to go to campfires and sing Dave Matthews Band to girls.
Yes,
and
of
try to
course
win them
you
over.
did.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's
Or Jack
very-
Johnson,
That's
whatever I was
That's very
feeling.
Ken of you.
I knew like 2 Oasis songs, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
at
I
least the beginning.
inspired everybody, though.
Yeah, I did. I
They're
inspired
like, look
all
at
of them.
that idiot play piano.
We could beat those guys up, and then they learned over time they could.
He's like, if that idiot can
use
play
the guitar
piano,
as a
we can
weapon.
win
Yeah,
state.
that's true. I should have done that.
But I mean, I don't know. If you were in high school, I bet the girls loved it. Honestly,
I don't
like,
not
oh my
where I
God.
was.
Really? No.
Not where I was, but in other parts of Texas, no doubt, because other parts
Yeah.
of Texas are.
Would they have loved it if you were singing like Tim McGraw or something?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Oh,
got it.
got it.
So just
I
your
couldn't
genre
grow
was
facial
off.
hair. Didn't like Tim McGraw very much then. I mean, I guess I do. I love country music, but I don't like singing it because I don't sound like it. I'm from
Right.
Texas, but I don't sound like I'm from Texas.
You
to
really
most
don't.
People.
Yeah.
And you said Ep.52, Texas? What?
Yeah,
Where are you from?
Nacogdoches,
Nacogdoches.
sister
Close.
city to Natchitoches, Louisiana. But
Yeah,
it's
if you
basically
didn't
like
know
a
that.
Native American pride in that area is huge, just because it's where like all the Caddo Indians lived. So all the Caddo Indian mounds, all the like chiefs burial places are all in that area.
Oh,
But it's just
wow.
kind of like middle of nowhere.
I mean,
cool,
but that
yeah.
I like that's actually very cool. But it's just like I guess like who lives there now kind of
Yeah,
thing.
nobody.
It's kind of
Yeah.
close to
Yeah.
Rockwall, right?
Well, Rockwell's Dallas.
Oh.
And that area, they would probably have liked me if I played guitar.
What were like the songs? Like, do you remember like the first song you learned?
Yeah, I learned it was Rivers of Babylon by Sublime.
Yes.
Nice.
And my mom always jokes about it because I went to my first guitar instructor who was just a college kid who like posted
course.
flyers around town like
Yep.
guitar lessons.
Yeah.
So she took me there, but he was a huge stoner, I guess. I didn't know at the time. So like, yeah, he was like, "Do you like Sublime?" I guess. And I'm always like, "Yeah, maybe."
like,
and so I
"Totally."
learned that whole song, and we like would sing it together week after
Aw.
week. And then, yeah, like only a few years ago was my mom like, "Yeah, I always regret taking you to Greg's." He was like, "It always reeked of weed at the apartment that I dropped you off
But
at,
she
and then
was
I
fine
would
with
trust
that.
you there for hours." And I was like, I don't remember any of that. I just
Oh,
remember it
just-
was dark, and I would
yeah.
learn
It's
It's all
Sublime.
the weed, you know.
Yeah, that's what it
It's hard
was.
to
The lights were on.
remember.
There was just so much weed.
Yeah,
But,
that's why you don't remember.
My tolerance is insane.
Did you say
from
your
birth.
grandmother gave you the guitar?
She did. Yeah, she was artsy and fartsy and stuff, but everyone else in my family
Definitely
was
smoked weed.
the opposite. She probably did, but But everyone else in my family's, like my dad's a lawyer.
Oh.
My mom writes curriculum for like firefighters. She has like 4 master's degrees. She's very smart. Everybody's smart, and I went in a
You decided
different
to be a
direction.
musician.
Yeah.
Which was a very smart decision.
Oh yeah,
because you're good at it.
Who's laughing now?
Idiots.
But so in that world, I think that they support it though, because I think everybody wants what they don't have. So I think your parents that maybe are like, wow, I'm so bored at being a lawyer for this many years. I wish I could do anything else, but I have to do this because I'm 60 something and this is what I've done, so I have to continue doing this. And I feel like they like coming to my shows. I take my dad to all the festivals we play. He smoked weed with McLovin before. He's had a funny dad experience of getting to enjoy, I think, vicariously stuff. And we enjoy it too. Like everyone in the band loves my dad and loves my mom. And I want to say Aaron maybe even smoked weed with my mom once at Mercy Lounge.
I did. No,
Tell us that
actually.
story, Aaron.
Oh, when was that? Was it a different time maybe?
It was actually at your house.
Oh, okay.
It was like years ago. This is years and years ago, like 8 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And everyone was still in college, and I was like Belmont's dude on the couch. I didn't go there, but I threw parties, and I had like weed with me all the time. So people assumed, they'd be like, you go here. And all the parents came to town. She was like, you go to Belmont, right? And I was like, no, why are you here? No, we played in this band called Soul Cat. So like they were all graduating. I was chilling. All of our parents came to town. There was a party at Johnny's house for all the families, and I'm like standing out there, and Johnny's mom like was chilling with me. We're just talking, and I'm like laughing and stuff. And she walked up, and I had a joint, so I was just like, she's not my mom. I'm just gonna act normal. Yeah. Like we're almost adults here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then she was like, is that weed? And I was like, yes.
Are you
I'm
about
gonna
to
be real
me?
with you. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna be real with you. It is weed. I do smoke weed. I'm not a bad influence, but I smoke a lot of weed. Yeah. And then she was like, all right, can I hit that? And I was like, and I literally was like, are you fucking serious?
Big left.
I was like, I don't believe this.
Yeah,
Johnny's
like, is this
mom.
a trick?
Yeah, I know. And then she was like, no, I've been curious about it. And I was like, are you kidding? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, you can't tell Johnny. And I was like, literally like, you realize this is like really a compromising position. And I was like, it's really kind of screwed up. Like, I don't want to be in the middle of that.
Yeah.
But I was like, also, like let's smoke weed together. I'm like 24 or something. And then, she smoked with me, but then she was like, you better not tell him, I'll kill you, basically. And I was like, all right.
She ended up telling me, like, after, because she came out saying,
I made
at some
her.
point.
I made her. It was years later. We were on
That's
tour
what it
like
was.
2 years ago, and I was like, well, I smoked weed with Johnny's mom, and he was like, no, you did not. And I was like, dude, for real, I never told you this, but I did. And he was like, you're an idiot. And I was like, okay. And I called his mom up, and I was like, Carla, I'm sorry, but
You got
did I or
complete.
did I not
Verify.
smoke a joint with you? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, see? She's the best. She sends me like razors and reminds me to shave my face and stuff, and feels very much like my mom.
That's
and
beautiful.
Very much love
that's
Carla.
She's a good lady.
Yeah.
That's what this
Shout
podcast
out
is about.
to the Fisher family then, right?
Yeah, I got all
100%.
sorts now. I got Elliot,
100%.
Fisher, Porter. Everybody gets
Your mom's
remarried
a
so many
hoarder, too?
times. Yeah, she's hoarding husbands. No,
My mom's a hoarder.
I have
Hoarding
smoked weed with my
husbands.
stepdad. I don't know if this is where our podcast is turning, who all we've smoked weed with, but
No,
I'm going to
please.
brag. I'm going to brag.
You
My
should.
stepdad.
That's awesome because he is.
Yeah, we smoked a joint, and
Really
then
cool.
we trenched a whole yard and built a nice like bulkhead of rocks together one day. It was so funny.
Wait, before or after you smoked weed?
After we sat in the yard, we chatted for a bit, did some bonding, and then he was like, all right, let's go do this yard work. And it took so long. It should have been nothing. Should have been like 2 hours, and we were there for like 6 hours because he's like, I have an idea. He's an engineer, so he's like super smart too. And I'm like, we're not about to measure the ground every 2 inches. Like, let's just go. He's funny. He's also a songwriter. I actually record him. Usually I go home for Christmas. This will be my first Christmas not in a million years, but I always record him every time I go home because he just writes incredible songs, and he always does the open mic nights in my hometown, and I think it'd be cool to still want to write songs when I'm in my 60s, because I'm sure tons of people get jaded, you know.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a song you could send to Tony that we could put in the show
Oh
notes?
yeah, absolutely.
One of those
wow,
songs.
that'd be
Oh,
sick.
his?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
And
awesome.
I love
Chuck
it
track?
because because
That'd be
I
great.
let him do his own thing, and then we'll take it and I'll do a little something to it to maybe bend it more to my ear or to like a modern kind of concept. But it's really fun. It's just like
I love that. What a cool way
Yeah, I
to
would love to
bond.
hear that.
That's really
yeah,
sweet.
you'd like it. He's a kook. It's almost like Bob Dylan-esque. He can fit a bunch of words really fast, but he's got this Southern Louisiana accent, so it's like so endearing and it's really nice. We've listened to it a few times driving around. It's mostly all songs about my mom. But,
Oh, that's really
it makes
cute.
it cute.
Oh,
It's
my
super
God, that's
cute.
so cute.
Yeah, I
So-
told you you're inspiring, dude. That piano, Chuck, me. I was interested in music as a kid because I was just kind of like a dabbler. I would just mess with anything kind of laying around. And the most beautiful hawk just flew by the window. I'm sorry. That's what that
Wow.
was.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
And anywho, yeah, so there's a piano in my house and stuff. I would play it and mess around, but then like it wasn't like a focus at all. I loved everything, you know. I drew, I loved video games, I was a sports kid, I loved everything. So my parents would try to push me into the direction of music sometimes. I remember my dad bought me like a Les Paul at one point and was like, here's like an epic guitar. And I was
Yeah.
like, cool. You know, and he was just like, what is wrong with you? And I was
Right, like,
I don't
are you
know.
excited?
And then he, like, one of the Flying Burrito Brothers moved to town, you know, like, and I didn't give a fuck about that. I was like, I don't know who those are, like, and he got me lessons with the dude, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
just like,
Wow.
Wait, who
I know,
was
but
it?
I did not care, you know.
Right.
But now I'm like,
It's
man,
wild.
that's awesome, you know.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, what happened was high school. I'm in high school. My mom had given me this car when I was younger and was like, don't get in trouble. I got really brave. I was just driving to Nashville every week for shows because they were all ages. I didn't want to be a musician, but I would end up like the 14-year-old with a joint, and I'd go talk to the bands and be like, you want to smoke this with me? And they'd be like, you're a kid. And I'd be like, do you? You know, so I was just around the energy a lot, and a lot of my first like experiences of just all kinds of shit were just with, you know, people touring that were just down to talk to me. So,
Yeah.
and then I had some family stuff happen. My dad got sick. He had cancer. He died. Before that happened, I had kind of like a woo-woo sort of moment where I was like, I don't have anything to base this on, but artwork is what I need to do. I got accepted to a school. I moved to Nashville. I knew I wanted music around me, but I wasn't into it for me. That wasn't a goal, but I was like a raging hypochondriac for like the first 2 years of living here. And there's like tags in bathrooms around town that still to this day say Aaron Martin sleeps on couches. Because I was like, yeah, I would just roll up and be like, here's joints for everybody. And I'd throw warehouse parties and no one had to pay for it. And I wanted a scene around me, and total misinterpretation of my state of mind, the tag, but I love
Yeah.
it. It's like so funny. Through that process, I was basically reaching out to bands, and I'd be like, you don't know me, I know you, here's some art. If you use it, that's cool, but you have to play a show for me when I want you to. And I had like 15 bands sign on for that.
Wow.
We were all raging. Through that whole process, I met Johny and the guys that we were in the old band with through like an art thing at Belmont. And basically, their old bassist quit in a very flash fried moment, like really
he
quick.
disappeared.
He disappeared.
Really?
Yeah, like
And yeah,
apparated.
vanished. Straight
What?
up.
Is-
yeah,
is he okay?
combustion.
Does anyone
We don't
heard?
know. We don't know.
That's
Um,
so
found him
weird.
this day.
we still don't know. Yeah, we can't get into that part, but
It's been 10 years.
we really don't know where he's at. But
well, hope he's
but-
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. We pour a little out for him every show. You know, basically, I'd been kicking it with them. We were all like best friends at that point, and then Johny was like, Johny is brilliant.
Yes.
But in the moment, it sounds like he's fucking with you really bad. And he was just like, he was like, man, our bassist just disappeared. We got to have a new one like now. And he was like, you know, like we all love hanging out with you. This music's like really stupid. You'll figure it out. And he was like,
super easy.
He was like, it's really easy. You can do it. And I was like, I'm not a bassist. And he was like, well, you got to be, because if it's not you and we have to find someone else, like that's a lot of trouble and a lot of stress. And at that point, it's your fault. and that's you being a dick. And I was like, what? And I was just like,
it's very manipulative,
He was in
Johnny.
the band.
yeah.
So you're right. Johnny is brilliant.
Yeah, I know. So I was like,
But kind of like in a criminal mastermind.
yeah, it was awesome. So
Waiting
I
for
was
my big
like,
payoff.
I was like, if it sucks, we'll tell people that it was your fault, and then that's all. So we did it. It was fun. I like became a musician. I think it pissed people off that thought I'd just stay an art guy sometimes, you know.
Stay in your lane, Aaron.
Yeah, stay in your lane. A little
Never.
bit. Well, I then went back to my lane. I wanted to be music or art guy again because that band was hilarious and yeah, and it erupted and
That was Soul Cat?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was hilarious and but I was like, I'm out of here. I got to paint pictures again, y'all. And,
Wait, why hilarious?
it was 6 hilarious dudes with all
Totally
like
different
kooky
guys.
personalities.
We were the village people.
We
for
were,
sure.
yeah. And everyone was like a loud personality. We were all there for totally different reasons. Johnny wanted to see the band's success. He was like there for it. You know, Jan was there because he was like bored and was like, this is dope. And then Brett was there because he wanted to like change the world. And then Ryan was there because he loves technicality and wanted to explore. You know, Jer was there because he loves manic puzzles and was like, I can make you guys make sense.
Wow.
You know, and
That's
I was
so
there
rad.
because I was like, no one's ever asked me to do that before. And it was just chaos.
It was. We got offered tons of cool stuff too. Total flukes, left and right. We got offered like we played all these major festivals. We should not have been.
Yeah.
But I remember we were like driving to New York to play like, all these big CMJ things. We had to pick our manager up from the airport, and we picked him up, and like almost immediately, the guy in our band, Jan, he'd hate if we. I mean, who knows if he'll hear this, but. He just like leans over and just I hear him say Carl, try to say Carl, and he just throws up right onto our manager's head like instantly after we picked him up.
No.
And so I was like, well, like
Guess
this
we're gonna
is
need a new
never gonna work.
manager.
Nothing's gonna work. And like our manager was like so sad. It was like 4 a.m. But it was awesome. And so yeah, that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Nope.
For many reasons, and probably drinking. We were all like
We were
21.
all like raging, yeah. It
Yeah,
was,
we were having
you
it.
know, no one was,
Well,
no
you
one
were in
was,
your 20s,
no one,
right? Early 20s?
Yeah, like mid,
Yeah, I think I just turned
22
21.
to.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Oh.
No, I
Yeah.
think about that all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, what if I had fill in the blank at that age and almost none of those things would have ended well?
Right.
Yeah.
And they
You
don't.
know?
They
Yeah.
just end up hilarious though, because we do talk about just like failure's okay, like all the time. It's
Yeah.
like mistakes.
You learned a
form
lot,
stuff,
probably.
You know, they
Yeah.
make you better.
Yeah.
I mean, did you
learn
have fun?
a lot. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
Blast.
It was
I'll
so
tell
much
you,
fun.
these guys are always having fun.
Yeah, it's
The,
true.
the tour we did with Okey Dokey and Zealot was seriously like, you guys are a trip. There's never a dull moment. And you're talking about loud personalities, all 4 of you guys.
Oh,
that
really?
was a
So you
great
got in
tour.
another band with a bunch of big
Yeah, so it's
personalities.
basically- that's-
okay.
Well, we
Well-
just brought our friends again. You know, like Andreas, it's in Jive Talk that you guys talked to earlier.
Yeah.
Like we love them so much, and I work with Oliver, the singer, every week, multiple days, and so I'm always around him. And then we started touring together because of that, just because like, we work at the same coffee shop every few days, so.
That's
We
how
should
it
go play
happens.
shows. So then we got thrown in together. We didn't even know each other. And then Oliver was like, I don't know if you know this, but like we had a choice between like Chicago, somewhere else in Nashville. And because you guys lived in Nashville, we were like, we can be an indie band and live in Nashville. So they all
Oh,
moved
wow.
here
Oh.
to do it. And then all because they were like, Okey Dokey can do it. And I wanted to be like, no. Like, if you only knew
That's
the
so
stuff you have to
funny.
go through and fail so many times. And even then, like Nashville's
Yeah.
not even our biggest market. It's just that it's cozy here, you know?
Yeah.
Also, like, it's probably way more forgiving than like being in New York. You know, as far as like kind of cost of living,
living,
and pace
definitely.
and all
Cost of
that.
living, yeah, but there's still like some weird energy where like just living takes your cost of living and makes it feel like it's still kind of there, you know? It's like it's still like a normal place. A burger is $15.
Right.
Like that's like
Yeah.
you know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
We ain't in Omaha.
Yeah, it's definitely
they know.
still it's definitely
We want
still
to.
a city you'd want to go to. Like, I remember in 2009, I was on Broadway, and it was like 3 blocks wide at that time. And I just remember these elderly people standing there, and they were just like, whoa. And I heard this old lady be like, wow, everything you could ever want in life is right here. And I was just like, whoa.
You're like,
And but like now I'm like, yeah, all the shit showed up. Cool. People still complain about rando little things, but no, it's a city. But it's also like 8 hours distance from like 15 places you'd want to play.
Yeah.
I think the ethos here, I guess, is still on like songwriting and performing and
pushing each other to try to do better shit. Not directly being like fuck you, but it's more like
no, just
I see someone else crushing.
Yeah, you gotta
like,
level up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too small to avoid that part. Yeah, and it is part of why it's awesome. Like, none of that statement is like negative. It's why everyone loves it here,
Well, that's probably to some degree why you're here, because it's like you need to live in a place where there's like
music could thrive.
Where music can thrive, right? And where there's actually like an appetite for original music and again, like a sort of standard of quality.
Yeah.
Because you can't suck here. Nobody will book you.
Well, there's like a respect for music here too. That's
they view music as a job.
Yeah.
It can exist to where, like, if you live here, you're understanding that it's a multifaceted thing, but even agencies didn't really move their rock agents to Nashville for, like, the last 3 or 4 years, or, like, a majority of them. Or, like, Paradigm didn't have their pop office here as well. It was only in New York or L.A. If you were a pop act that wasn't country or wasn't Christian, then you had to go play like little fun little tastemaker shows in LA at like wherever the fuck we played bootleg theater before it like whatever closed.
Oh, yeah,
or you'd have to go play somewhere in New York, like Pianos or wherever, like joint that gives like a 30 cap room to make $0 so some agent could come see you that actually works in your genre.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had to even do that in the beginning of Okey Dokey, which wasn't even that long ago. But
We
there
went
was
all the
no
way to
pop
Los
artist.
Angeles for it.
Yeah, we had to drive cross country just to play for somebody. We went on at 1:20 something in the morning to like barely anybody, just so an agent could be like, "We liked you guys. We're signing you guys." And I'm like,
You're like,
"Holy shit!
Wow.
You could have just called me. I didn't have to come all the way out here."
Like, damn.
But funny stuff like that existed years ago. Like it was easy to be the one indie band and to like stand out. Years ago we were maybe some of the very few that combined songwriting with like collaboration with multiple bands and just making shows. Not maybe like more of like in a world of maybe the Animal Collective concept where you can bring multiple people on stage at all times. It's a flood of people going on and off stage to create one show. And I always have liked that. And it also is what I think made a lot of people talk more about it because there's so many more people in the band. The second that you have an album with 40 artists on it, then 40 people are talking about it. If you have an album with just you on it, then you're your own lead cheerleader.
Well,
hey, you should listen to it. It's all me. And I love it.
You don't have 40 people promoting it. You have yourself just going like, I think I'm pretty good. I think I did okay
way
this time.
better than these other guys. And,
I mean,
it's
there's
like
also
weird.
like as much as it's like cool to be in a scene, it's also kind of cool to be like the outlier sometimes because you get more attention. But I want to rewind a little bit to like when you started, like when did you first start writing, either of you?
For Okey Dokey, it was officially 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And
But like in your life.
oh, well, for me, I did a thing called the 24-hour record session when I first moved to Nashville because I was like a psych rock dude, and that was not really like a super prominent thing. And my friend's dad is this dude, Lindsey Jameson. He played for like Ben Folds 5 for a long time. He's like the British drummer dude. But we were like jamming in his basement a bunch, and then he was like, "Hey, I have this show where you have 24 hours to like meet some people and write an entire EP and record it." And I was sick, I'll do a poster for you. And he was like, "No, you're going to lead." I was like, "What are you even talking about?" Because that was literally my first experience, like recording, writing, leading anything.
Oh, wow.
and it was super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
pretty scary, though, yeah?
It was sick. I had a great time. I wrote my first guitar solo. It sounds super gnarly.
Wow. No,
best.
that's really
very,
that is a very interesting first foray because it's
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
high pressure, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
but
how
both
this
yes and
started
no.
too. Is like back to the first band. You know, my whole response was just with a lot of shit. Is like I've never been asked to do that. I feel capable. Sure, you know.
Yeah, let's
and if
go.
I don't do it, I'm not gonna know what could have happened. And
Yeah.
honestly, like that was totally what made me answer Johnny and just being like, yeah, I can play bass, I guess, if you put it that way, but okay, you know.
Do you
Sure,
still
we'll
have a
try.
recording of the solo and all the stuff you did?
Do what?
Do you still have
those
recording?
recordings?
It's on
I have them
YouTube
on my
somewhere.
I have them on my iTunes too.
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
They're
really?
deep. Yeah,
Please, please,
really
please.
But yeah, I
Send
have
it.
Send to Tony because we'd love to include a clip if that's
Oh, I'd
okay.
love that.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
we were
it's
called the Love and Terror Cult. They wanted a psych band, so I named us after Charles Manson's
That-
record that drove him crazy.
That is a good
Because he wanted to be a
name.
musician.
Yeah.
Right. No,
Much
he
like-
infamously, like, that was actually,
Yeah, with the Beach Boys, right?
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Dennis Wilson.
Dennis
yeah.
Wilson.
It's like a
Yeah.
sweet little album, actually.
Well,
He's like,
yeah,
in the
the,
flowers, man. I'm like, whoa, dude. That was a psychopath. You're like, this.
Only people like that album more.
Yeah.
We got to get
Yeah.
that album out there.
I know, but that's why anytime anything's
Get like
like
a cult
super
following.
happy sounding, I'm like MK Ultra. That's what that is. Teletubbies, get out of here. You're-
Yeah. So what you're saying is that Pharrell is like a psychopath.
Oh, I mean, maybe so.
I don't know. Never
I
mind.
do have a story about that.
Okay, we
because
have a
happy.
great Pharrell and Usher story.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
we were
South by Southwest.
we were at
baby.
South by Southwest in Soulcat years ago, and we were all just like, I think we were just like the band left that was taking the free alcohol still. We were at like, we were at Mohawk or something.
Yeah.
We're just like in the green room.
Wait,
like,
it's
"Yeah,
free?"
We're important. You know? We were just lying through our teeth all week to every doorman.
Yeah.
We just walk into shows and they're like, you gotta come in. I'm like, hey, like,
It's
we're
me.
Soulcat. We played here 3 hours ago. And they did. And, you know, that's when I learned that like door people are awesome. You got to be sweet to them. But
Yeah.
there is a
Yeah.
truth, which is that if they kick out somebody that's damn right supposed to be in there, that's like the end of the world. So if you're just nice, they'll usually be like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah. Like,
But-
you know what? Don't cause any trouble. And
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I know this what's going on. Just let me in there. And so anyway, I think we did that, and we're like drinking, and then we're on this porch by ourselves, and then all of a sudden, here comes Pharrell and Usher. And it was in the Pharrell years of the big, like, goofy
big
hat.
hat.
Big
Oh,
hat.
The
Yeah.
big,
Huge.
stupid hat.
Far
I'm going
too
to say
big.
that
One of the
officially.
biggest.
Stupid hat. And
He's gonna be
Usher's
so
there.
sad.
Yeah, and like, we go up to him in a group, and it was either me or Jan. I can't
It
even
was
remember.
Jan.
Yeah,
I
Jan.
remember it. He was doing it to everyone. He did it to
He-
Jim James like the week later.
Oh, no.
he like walked up and he was like, "Oh my god, oh my god." He was like, "Can you take a picture with me in my favorite
I
band?"
think he said like, "Do you mind grabbing or do you mind taking a picture?"
Yeah, and
That's
then
what
he
asked
handed him the phone,
and then they were like,
and
"Sure,"
then got with
and they start
us.
doing this, and so Jan gives him his phone, and then we all line up,
then we're like
we
this.
have Pharrell take a picture.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
oh my
And
God.
he's literally standing there, like both of them are both like just shocked, like they're like, but we're like Pharrell and Usher though, so
No, that is
you idiots. It was like Dumb
that
and
is the
Dumber for them.
bossest
Yeah.
move I've
He
ever
tagged
heard.
That's hilarious.
That is
Shout out
such
Jan.
a powerful.
It was sick.
Photo by
That's
Pharrell.
so
It's
What
so
would be
funny.
even better though is to then post it on Instagram and give the photo credit
he did,
to
but
Pharrell.
it was pre-Instagram.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pre-Instagram.
So it was Facebook. So he did.
Yeah.
He definitely was hoping that
credit
Pharrell would come
like,
back
oh no,
in,
I know
but he
who the
didn't.
fuck you are, and I still
Yeah.
asked you to hold the
Yeah.
phone. Oh my
That's
god.
And he
so
did that
funny.
to Jim James too.
At Forecastle. So it's his hometown festival he puts on.
Oh my
He's in
gosh.
line for booze, and Jan does the whole, "Hey, do you mind grabbing a picture? I know this is like, you
Oh
must
my
get this a
God.
lot." And the guy was just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." And then Jan's like, "Here's my
Damn,
phone."
dude,
and then we're back to take a
Big
picture.
balls on Jan.
I
It's
feel
such
like
a good move.
Jim James probably thought it was funnier.
He
though.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
because he's
did.
not
Yeah.
maybe quite the level
No, he's
of
super nice
recognizable
too.
either.
Whereas
like
I don't
physically speaking.
imagine. Yeah,
you
he
know.
does
love
wear the
Jim
same
James.
thing
I do
though
too.
so often that like
Yeah.
you gotta know if it's
No,
like
I
a
mean,
leather vest.
I would recognize
Right.
him, but you know,
No doubt,
But
no
like the
doubt.
big stupid hat, like you
Yeah.
said, that's
Yeah.
you know, that's not exactly his
It's
vibe.
good band promotion
is-
that he's like, take a picture of my favorite band. It's like, it's us.
And no, that
love
is
it.
so goddamn funny. I can't even stand it.
Love a good
It's
troll.
honestly genius.
But what happened to Soul Cat?
Just it blew up because we don't work well
I don't
together.
see how it could have like blown up.
Just again, I think the guy that wanted to change the world didn't think we were changing the world, but it's hard to when your genre is like tropical sex grooves.
It's really weird. That was one of the reasons I left.
Right, not exactly writing like protest songs. Yeah.
I was constantly lecturing the band on buttoning their shirts back up. I was like, you got to keep a couple of the buttons buttoned. 4 of them unbuttoned looked really bad. I'm like, I'm the only guy in the band with chest hair.
Oh my God.
This up.
You guys, my ex-boyfriend should have been in your band.
Literally down to
definitely.
here.
Yeah.
We would take all ex-boyfriends in our old college band.
Yeah, those are all our ex.
But I wanted to ask you, Johnny, when did you first start writing?
I had a high school band. I had a few. We were bad. Everyone was bad. I don't even know. I was in a bunch of bands. I guess it was like when emo music was popular. So I was at least in one screaming-ish kind of band.
Yay. Okay.
And then I did.
What was it called? What was it called?
It was called Dallas for some reason.
Nice.
I was like, what's a city that's
Love
within
it.
3.5 hours? Dallas.
So wait,
Dallas.
so like you're progressing, had your acoustic, you're playing Dave Matthews
Yeah.
to badly to like girls that hated it.
Right.
Exactly. And that
pay the bills.
drove you to go emo.
Yeah, I got sad that no one cared about my Sublime.
And then so you went electric.
I transitioned, and then I played with one band. I wasn't even allowed in the band because there's 2 brothers, and they were like, look, this is a brothers band. And I was just like, well, I've got to get into this somehow because brother bands work.
You're also like, do you have enough brothers to like play all the instruments?
No doubt.
Jeez.
I wanted to. They were half Asian, so it would be super hard visually to
Pass.
sell it.
Well, I'm the half brother.
Right. I'm definitely
I'm
half.
the non-Asian half brother.
But they were super nice. They had a song called Not Tonight where they yelled Not Tonight for like 4 minutes. And people loved that. And that was where I was like, maybe I should get into more of this stuff.
It was an emo song.
That was the emo. That was an emo
Kind
band?
of. It was like a, like you sing like, I guess you're my girl. Like a lot of that. There was
Not
that on full
tonight.
blast.
It's like that's
Not
Blink 182
tonight.
kind of stuff.
A lot of that, and I'm even singing
I'm
it
so
very
sorry.
accurately. Yeah. There was a lot of sorry, and
So was it like Not Tonight?
yeah,
Just for
yeah.
like
and we
3
do
minutes?
acoustic performances, sometimes
love it.
electric. We just sort of dabbled.
Show notes.
It was all
please.
bad-ish. They were great. Not narking on the joiners. They're very nice. But
That's the name of the band?
they were called Columbus. We just picked cities. we mostly
city names.
picked either capitals or major metropolises.
I love it.
But I did play in a band. Well, in Texas, there's a lot of Latin folks from all over. And I played with a Hispanic friend of mine in a band called Bolero, where he sang in Spanish. And I didn't sing at all in that band much. I speak Spanish now. His name's Daniel Gutierrez. He's a very nice guy. I haven't talked to him in years. But we had a band that was in Spanish. It goes on my resume still. But yeah, I went into that and then just came to college. And then like I had no idea what was going on because music was changing so much. And that's the way the industry is. It's like you can always chase what's popular. But I think at a certain point, your age, your sex, your everything doesn't necessarily mean you're not allowed to do something, but it's just like there's not a lot of like, tall Serbian country artists right now singing,
Right,
it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like you just have to know your lane. And I think that like I moved here not knowing what lane was happening because like there was this high school scene concepts, but then you moved to Nashville and they're like, Kings of Leon's the biggest band around.
Right.
And
So
you're like, what is that?
what
And
year
then
was
you're like,
that
oh,
about?
2008.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So they were at their height probably like 2 years before that. Somewhere around the 2006 zone is where they have like their legendary Bonnaroo on a bunch of cocaine performances, and they're all thin and cool. They're still cool. Yeah, then I got thrown into that, and then I met a bunch of townies. So then I get thrown into like being around those people. So then suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm not wearing girl jeans. He'll make fun of me, and I've got to put on a fedora or something. I don't know. Everyone had to
that
have a
was a moment.
fedora in
I had a fedora
2007.
phase.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
sure did. That
and then
was
you're like,
a
is
real
this
moment.
cool? And then quickly you're like, this isn't cool.
And then you're
that
embarrassed
fad
about it for
changes.
the rest of your life. Yeah.
So I
Oh my
think
God.
once I like hit like a certain age, I finally was like maybe like 25. I was finally like, okay, I am this guy. I'm probably not going to change anymore. I hope, and I haven't yet, which is nice. But I'm finally in a place where I do like what I do, but I also like making a million things. So I can go and sit with someone and write a pop ballad with a girl and be super stoked on it, but then go and make a weirdo song or make a hip hop sounding song and be super stoked on that as well. And I think that's something you learn over time. And I think that younger
Yeah.
artists are very much that way. They're like, you know, if you don't like what I like, or you're not making the kind of style that I'm making, then it's not very good, or I don't like it. And I'm like, no, it is good, and you probably would like it, but you don't know how else to promote yourself than to only like what you like and to stay safe.
Well, other than
if you
being
get
a brand.
applause. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
like when
like a
people
specific
reward you,
brand.
then you're like,
Yeah.
horse
I'm
blinders,
this
no one
guy
else
now.
in, no one else out.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
your
right,
party is your
yeah.
party because you don't want to mess it up.
Totally.
But I think that that's where collaboration jumped in for us, because we were like, it doesn't matter what we make. Like, we can make a song with a folk artist or with a hip hop artist or anywhere in between. And if we just put it out, no one hates on it, because it's like we're clearly not doing something to, like, you know, we're not even bragging about ourselves. Like, we're even giving 50-50 songwriting to this other random person, some of which have never released a music or like a song ever in their lives, but we meet them somewhere and we're like, you're really cool, you should do music, just sort of like Aaron and stuff. And then we'll write a whole song,
That's so
record them
rad.
singing. Now they have their first track out, you know?
That's so
We do
dope.
that stuff frequently, and I think that just makes it to where hopefully the humility is there, to where people aren't thinking that we're like, we don't care if we become superstars, and I doubt we will, and who cares? But it would be nice to write great songs that withstand some amount of time. You know, like, I listen to old stuff, but there's a certain time where I don't, like, I'm not just listening to 1920s music.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, you know, like, that's not where I'm at.
People get
you
so
know?
people get so like tribalist, right? And especially when you're younger, like
Yeah.
people get so tribalist about like who you are and your identity as it relates to the music you listen to.
And yeah, it is fun. You're right. When you're younger, you're more outspoken about, like, there's only a few options. You either
It's
that
so
sucks,
serious.
or it's that's the coolest thing.
Or it's
ever.
my entire
Yeah.
personality.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's all I got. Yeah,
Right.
like with early music, we were even older than them, but like, and they went down and hit a big crapshoot, and apparently they're trying to come back, which I just can't even believe. But the Orwells, total dumpster fire of a project, but they had the same thing, like popular
yeah.
at 17 or 18. But what happens to those guys is they like create a scene that everyone believes in, and it's like, yeah, like kids can do this, like we are the future. And then like you find out like, oh, like majority of them are kind of jerks and assholes and treat women poorly, or
Right,
like
well,
try
the
to fight a
whole-
bouncer, or like hit a guy
Yeah.
over the head with something, and you're
The
like,
whole Burger Records thing.
yeah, no doubt, like
Yeah.
as a whole. And I think that's where
Or
it's
they
like,
just
you know,
age.
yeah, mm-hmm.
And it's like,
They
oh,
just age.
they're not kids anymore.
Right.
But to get back
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question,
Songwriting.
when did you start writing
Was it always collaborations for you? Like,
by yourself?
Yeah, I guess like
By yourself.
I guess I never put anything out fully by myself until like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I've always worked with someone else because I think that bouncing ideas back and forth is the only way to get something good, and it
Oh,
may
yeah.
not be true. It's just that helps me feel validated that it is good to be in the room with someone. And if I do something bad, I want them to say, that's bad. And then I'm like, okay, thanks. I'm not hurt by it. I'm just like, you're right. Let's not release anything bad. So scrap it, move on. But if I don't have that person, then I'm just living in bad, and I don't ever delete anything until it becomes horrible. And then I'm like, oh no, like I did this to myself. And that's oftentimes when I'll take something and then go to some mixer or producer and be like, help me, you know? And then we'll eliminate things, add things, change things. But I would say 3 years ago when I felt comfortable with myself. They always say, like, you know, to master something takes what, like 10,000 hours?
Or more.
So, or more. And I would argue always more,
They
because
say
I
a
know
million
guys that have put a
hours.
lot in,
Yeah.
and they're still bad. And I think it's how much you pay attention during those hours, probably.
Yeah.
But I think everything I did was bad until a couple years ago, for the most part. Even the first few songs that we wrote would have been bad had we not worked with our friend Jeremy to help. He like melded it together. You
Nice.
know, like he was like, I see what you guys are going for. Here's how you can do it. And then that got us there. But I think that's always what any artist I mean, it's why people will work on an album for 3 years, because they won't let anyone in, and because they hate their stuff for so long that it takes 3 years to finally not hate it or to give up and be like, fuck it now. I've been doing it for so long, and it's so bad for so long, that just put it out. And at that point, I'm hearing your thoughts and your ideas from 3 years ago. So they're probably not topical anymore.
Right.
So that's why, like, a modern world is, it's like Harry Styles. He played a show in town, and 2 hours before his show, he was in a studio here, co-wrote Watermelon Sugar High.
Oh
in
my
2
gosh.
hours. And then he goes and
Yeah.
performs.
That's so
So
crazy.
that's how it happens. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, whim, I have an idea. And then he's with some big fancy guy who's a regular at my coffee shop and tips 30 cents every time. And we got to watch him accept a Grammy this year. Congrats.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like those are the people where I'm like, yeah, like
30
that's how
cents.
fast they can chug through stuff. Is like Harry is talented enough to show up, get the idea, and nail it, and then go
Move
and
on.
continue to move
Yeah.
on. Songs now, like what was the Yummy Yummy song? And they like compare the lyrics to like Prince's, some like huge hit of Prince, and it's like all of Justin Bieber's words, just yummy, 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 all the way down.
Oh my God.
But it won the Grammy, and that's where people are like, it's not really a song, it's more of just like a beat that's really great that has an awesome word yummy put into it in a lot of different
It's a
ways.
vibe. It's a
And
vibe.
that's where like I think Nashville is the opposite, where if somebody that we were friends with released yummy, no one's gonna
You'd be like, what the
give
fuck
you
is
the
this?
appreciation,
Yeah.
or you're not gonna be like, I gotta write with that guy, you know? Like,
The yummy guy. The
yeah,
yummy guy.
he's so good. How does he come up with this stuff?
That's the point
you
of
know?
this is like everyone starts somewhere. So like it's that Iris Glass quote of just like you suck at the beginning because you know where you want to be,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so like that's kind of like the whole first song thing.
Right, like
Yeah.
if you think you suck, that means you should keep going because you have the
Yeah.
taste to
Yeah,
know
you
you're
wanna
not
get
there
there.
yet.
Because otherwise you're just like, yummy's dope, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
there.
and a lot of
I'll
people
just-
are that way.
I'll
Shitting
just
on
write a
it,
bunch more
it's
yummies
fine.
because I'm already perfect.
and a lot of people in the last few years have moved here because there is more of an infrastructure for pop, and there's more like label reps, more agents, more managers that care about that. And since TikTok's now a thing that didn't exist, also neither did Instagram. So neither did Spotify
Yeah.
when we first moved here. So like when everyone's like, it's so hard out here, like whatever. It's like imagine being at the perfect cusp of all the new things that you have to learn and then excel at and then succeed. It's like, hey, now understand Instagram. And you're like, well, wait, we just grew our Facebook. And then you're
Yeah,
like, well,
don't-
Facebook's dead.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no. So then all those thousands of people, you're like, you throw them away. And you're like, Instagram, let's build it up. And you get up to like 20,000 people. And you're like, we did it. And they're like, well, Instagram's dying. You don't have TikTok? And you're like, oh. And so that's where it's like, am I a musician or am I a magician? Like, what do I need
Go
to
back
do
to
for you?
MySpace. That's
Johnny,
what we
Yeah.
have to do.
like the three of us have this conversation about our podcast stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Terrence was like, we got to be on TikTok. And I was like, do we?
Oh man.
I know.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's helpful, but
Yeah.
my main beef with all of it is that, like, when you look back at the history of art and creation and all this shit, you know, it's like music is newer to me than just drawing and stuff, which is very insular, you know. And with visual art, I hate artist statements. Like, I think they're super redundant, you know. It's like, just draw a squiggle in the thing and let them figure it out, you know. It's never, ever been a state where, like, it's an artist's job to explain every fucking thought in your head. Like,
I know.
it has never been a musician's job to go, hey, good morning, everyone. This is what I drink every day when I wake up, and after I wipe twice forward, three backward, I sit down
With
and
Donnie.
yeah, this is my dog. And what I was thinking about here was this, you know, and it's like full barf explanation of everything.
Yeah.
And it's really just saying, like, it's either saying, like, people are too stupid to enjoy music, or we'd like for them to be so stupid that we don't have to write music anymore. Because it is, like, it's
and
such
you lose,
a weird
They say
feeling.
don't get to know your favorite artist. They'll
Yeah,
always
you
let you
can't.
down.
It's
well, it's
supposed to
perfect.
be.
Now we'll just like gutter feed you all of your
Yeah.
least favorite artists, and you
You'll
can know
never know
everything
them.
about them.
Yeah,
Like, cool.
you'll never get to know them. Like David Bowie and all these people. It's like, you know, musicians used to create like a total just different self, more mystery, you know, and
Yeah,
that was
and
the
now
job.
we're just
Even
taking
Father
all
John
of that
Misty
away.
still
Yeah.
keeps. He's snarky and funny, but I'm sure if
Yeah.
you hang out with him behind a closed door, he's a little bit easier to tolerate.
John
But he's
Misty.
doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
it's a
He seems
joke.
like he's
a
an
satirical
insufferable prick,
asshole. It's
but I've heard
great.
he's
So are
cool.
we.
He
Yeah.
gave us
Yeah.
he gave me and some friends bath salts one time because
Nice. He's just like
'Cause
by
that's what you
accident,
do.
or
Wait, like
We've
bath
also
salt's
done
the drug or like
whippets
actual bath
at
salts?
Jam
Bath
in the
salt's
Van.
the
A lot of
drug.
places give us weird. A lot of places have given us weird drugs.
yeah, Jam in the Van. Not to oust them.
No, they're very
but
cool.
They're super cool. But Eric Andre, not to oust him.
I
Very
love Eric
cool.
Andre.
Very cool. Apparently, like, nitrous was on a rider at some
he
point.
asked for a whole
He
tank
asked
of
for a whole
nitrous
tank
on
of
his rider.
nitrous. So then we played
then
Jam
left
in the
it.
van, and we just started to notice that the night was just getting more hilarious. And we were
Yeah.
like, you ever heard of nitrous? We were like, yes.
But no, all the sound guys were on it, and it sounded so
It was
bad.
so
and at
funny.
one point, we looked to the side stage, and the
Yeah.
monitor guys have the tank, and I'm like,
Wait till after our
stop.
set, bro.
Wow.
they're just
They did
geeking
give
out.
me like a
They're the
million
best,
billion
though.
joints and all
Yeah.
this, and I'm
A
sober,
million
so like I'm always
It's
like
a comedy
hey.
place too, so I'm like,
Yeah,
we
it's
did laugh
hilarious.
a lot.
Oh, our friend Erica
Big crush.
Andriozzi
Man.
Shout
is
out Erica.
obsessed with Jam in the
Meatball.
Van comedy.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, our girl Meatball. She
Yeah.
she man, she got really into that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But you guys want to play us something old?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
man, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you pulling up a sound effect?
I mean, I just was making it sound a little more like
Man, it's
Well,
crowded.
we
in
used
Oh,
to.
is that
here.
the crowd's roar?
Yeah.
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 All right, guys.
We're usually
about
openers,
to
so
do
it's
a
just a
pretty
bunch
cool
of people
song.
talking over us. Yeah. This is just what.
Getting the authentic live
Give you an authentic
experience here.
lifestyle.
Guys, keep it
Hey,
down. We're trying to
Okey Dokey.
listen.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Hey, I'm Aaron. This is Johnny. We're Okey Dokey.
Love wasn't blind when I saw you. I knew my way around, and the grass was growing extra tall for me, and I had your number in my head. I can hardly remember the way it was before. Then I saw the changes in the fallen leaves. It was extra cold for me. It was extra cold for me. If she could lose, I'd hate to be the other side of sunny weather. I'd hate to be the man bringing a paper. I'd hate to be the one who lost my love to you.
amazing.
So if the audience could please quiet down. I'm just kidding. When did you write that? What is it about? What was inspired by?
I think we wrote it in the winter. So like this time in 2016. But we didn't know what to do with it. We just knew we had songs recorded.
I think it was also just like me trying to figure out what to write about, because it really was like a thing where it was like, I'm just art fart guy now.
Yeah.
And that first album, like our first song was called Booty Doo. And that was because a sound
that one
in
out.
the song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Booty doo.
Yeah. And it goes, booty doo. Yeah, we go, booty doo. And then that just was what it was. And then I think I was like, no one cares about Motown, which like a year after that was so not cool.
Yeah.
You
We're
know?
always just right there.
Right,
and I'm
right there. And then it's like,
yeah,
who
tell
is this
this-
Leon Bridges guy? He's fucking around with everybody.
St. Paul and the Broken Bones.
What
We're
the
like,
fuck
wait
is
a minute.
this? You know, and our first, our band first had 12 members because we thought that was sustainable. Like,
What?
come on.
Yeah, right. Well, what? So
But-
sonically, what was maybe inspiring that song? Like, wait,
I love psychedelia. Anything weird. Like I'm a constantly kind of like out of the sidewalk thinker. I think that's just what I'm attracted to. So I wanted like Motowny stuff because I love like Tiny Tim and melodrama shit, and I love spook and reverb. But also it was like I'm a young man. That is what I see myself as. My young man energy was like, love, let's write about that. Woo! So the whole first album was like really lovey-dovey, kind of just, you know, single young dude, just sweet thoughts. And the point of all that was just like, there was a point, and it was to be a part of the like weird scene that was happening, but not the like toxic garage world that I was like super not into.
Yeah.
And if we were going to be psychedelic, I wanted to actually be that and like make everything actually sound kind of strange but like agreeable with an ear.
Yeah.
Not just like 20 seconds of like
not just like
dum, dum,
unlistenable
dum,
noise,
you know?
or yeah.
Yeah, and that was just all I cared about. And literally that's all I cared about was making something that I could be cool with, because I just had no idea about any of it. And then literally it's like we started touring because just Johny naturally is like, here's what we got to do. Let's dip.
This is what bands do.
Yeah, like very task oriented, and that saves us all the time, you know?
Yeah. So do you write most of the lyrics for the band?
Yeah. Johny writes like more than he used to, but that's because I'm like way more chill on that way than I used to, because we wrote an album, then we toured, and then honestly it was like meeting people who like loved it, you know. We'd start hearing like, yo, like that song like really got me out of a low time, like that song saved me from this like really bad breakup, all this stuff. And I was like, holy shit, like it really felt crazy to me
People
to
are
meet
listening.
humans that cared.
Yeah,
So
sure.
Yeah.
so everything got really important.
Yeah.
You know, like all the songs, like the lyrics are just like 6 things at once, because to the person that digs, like, there you go, it's for you, you know, all this.
Yeah.
And now at this point, I'm like so back to just the way I think it ought to be and is fun to have, which is just becoming a character and writing a song. You know,
Yeah.
Johny will be like, let's write something fun. And I'm like on our last album, a song called Slip Slidin'.
That's
it's
a
like
great
my
song.
favorite. I love it. Thank you.
That's an amazing
Yeah,
song.
it's 2 chords.
And Johny was like, let's have fun. And I was like, I didn't want to like not be fun. So I was like, all right, I'll just become like not me today. Like I love characters. Like, but we write together more often than we used to, because I think just things even out. And
Well, and
the
you're
old
evolving.
Yeah.
Well, that too, but we had that old explosive band that we talked about,
Soul
and like
Cat.
that was 6 cooks in a kitchen. And we were like, we're gonna keep it at 2, maybe 3, because we
Well,
both need
except
accountability.
for, I want to talk about how you guys have sort of expanded the band.
Oh, yeah, I mean, all the time. Like, we do expand all the time. That's the truth. But as far as, like, making sure that, like, if the band pisses off an entire state, you know, it's like, it's only me and Johny that'll hear about it.
Right.
No one else has to do that. They can all be like, Okey
Yeah.
Dokey, I haven't talked to them in years.
They're like, oh yeah, like we thought they were cool until we heard that.
Yeah, like,
I haven't
oh,
talked to
yeah.
them in years. Like,
Yeah.
I do feel like Larry David, like the Larry David band all the time. Like we'll
Totally.
just say something just sort of nonchalant, and
Yeah.
then it'll like be in some like interview thing that's like not what we said, and I'm like, well, that's not really accurate. And then I'll like see someone post like, it's a shame to see your favorite band like love Trump or something.
You're
We're
like,
God
wait,
damn
we're your
it.
favorite band?
Yeah.
What I would take from that would be like, wait, we're your favorite
For
band?
me, I guess sad.
We just
It's like,
take it. We're
sucks
just like,
that your
whatever.
favorite audience.
We'll make
can't
sure to
read.
have your email in the show notes for this episode.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
people can let
reach
you
out
know.
to you
Concerns
directly.
and past grievances. I think everything's misunderstood.
You're never
Even
going to be
though,
fully understood.
What is that? There's that huge gay anthem. They play it in every dance. It's like it's not Let's Hear It for the Girls. Anyway, there's this big biopic, and it was on NPR, and it was her daughter talking, and basically like she wrote this song. It went huge in the gay scene. She was like this female fronting thing, and then she made some comment a few years after that again wasn't what I don't think meant, but then it went into some magazine or tabloid. Then everyone turned on her, and she died sad and feeling like the whole scene she
Oh,
had helped
probably Donna
raise.
Summer.
I
She
think that might
died?
be
Yeah.
who it is. Yeah, she passed away, but still before
She wasn't
any
a
like
TikTok
healing.
sensation.
No,
She
no,
was
she's
No,
Donna
old.
Summer.
the gays,
Yeah.
the gays love Donna Summer.
Yeah, and it was
Totally.
something along these lines where like she died even sad and depressed.
My brother's gay.
At like
Loves Donna
losing,
Summer.
at like losing like I guess a whole community you've built, you know. And I could see that being like I think a lot of people probably go through that, and it's not necessarily like a concept of cancel culture. It's more so like
It's just the
there's
reactivity.
misrepresentation of
Yeah.
information that is impossible to not go through a million different telephone games. If he said, she said, they did this, no, they didn't, or they only burn this much fossil fuel. I heard they burn this. It's like
Yeah.
no one can know.
It's true.
So like
Yeah.
stop trusting anything you see and read. Sadly, it's like it used to be like just read a book, you idiot.
Well, you know-
They'll tell you. And now it's like don't read a book.
Right. Don't read a book. Watch
Right.
it on TikTok. We were talking about this earlier, right? About the kind of like new landscape of like TikTok and Spotify and all that. And you started to tell us a story off mic about
Yeah.
Spotify playlisting. I'd love for you to tell
Oh,
that
yeah.
again.
Oh,
Yeah, it was just like right when we started, we only had like 4 or 5 songs, but we were told by our manager we needed to go meet with a Spotify rep and that was the future of music. And at the time, it definitely wasn't. And so we were like, sure, I guess. And so we meet with him and he tells us it's not good and there's no real place to put it. And even though like indie
said we
playlist
weren't ready
existed
yet.
he was like, you guys are almost there, but you're not ready yet for what we do.
You're like, ready
And
for
I was
what
like,
we do.
interesting.
That's funny.
And so then, like 2 days later, we hit every big playlist there was, and we were on Essential Indie and All-Time Favorite Indie, which was my favorite
wow.
because
Wow.
as if like we're everyone's all-time favorite, and it's like, wait a minute, this is our first song ever in our first playlist, so how are we like an all-time greatest playlist?
That's strong.
I mean,
funny.
that's a
Something
strong beginning.
failed.
That
We
is
thought something
strong.
maybe failed, but
We were
but
like,
back
fuck
in the
that guy,
day,
though.
Spotify was so new and small that like every time we uploaded a song, it would create a new artist channel for us. So we had like 4 Okey Dokey Spotifys
Oh,
in
no.
the beginning. We were like, well, how do we solve this?
Actually, I remember
You
that.
know?
Yeah.
It's just confusing times. And so we emailed Spotify, hey,
bunch.
Back when you could do that.
yeah,
hello.
and they were
A
like,
bunch.
like a bunch. Like, well, we don't know what to do. Like, we have all these channels. There's no way for us to focus it. We're losing these millions of fans during this playlisting time. Like we didn't know where we didn't know if we could combine or what would happen. And some dude with artist relations was just like, can you hop on a Skype? And we were like, sure. And we hopped on a Skype for like 3 hours with this guy as he like asked us questions too. Like, hey, I fixed everything for y'all, but like, here's some just questions. Like, what makes our app? Like, how can we? And we were just like, whoa. Like,
gosh.
Spotify's like asking us questions. And then we got on even more playlists. And I think it's because we had a little
Totally.
champion. So we sent him like an embroidered jacket. Like, we were like, here's a gift card to Cheddar's or something. And, and he was like our cheerleader as like we did that growth thing. I think he kept the flame going because we hopped on a Skype with him. But now no one will answer us
Yeah.
to save our lives.
Well,
but
I'm sure there's been a total changing of the guard.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. They
100%.
change almost every year, I think. But it's like Spotify doesn't need our help anymore. Like,
Right.
and they
That's
never
funny.
did. But
Well,
we were
you
just
know,
there.
Part of the reason I wanted you to tell that story again, though, is because I think like this is such a like good lesson. It's good to get advice from somebody who's an expert or a tastemaker or whatever, but that one person was obviously totally fucking wrong.
Yeah,
like that
totally.
guy, you could have listened to him and been like, man, this guy knows his shit. Our stuff's not good enough. Let's take it down.
Right.
but obviously he was one voice among many. And, he's like the guy that turned down the Beatles. He's like on the wrong side of history as far
you guys
as
were
that
the
goes.
all-time favorite
So,
indie.
We were
it's like-
all-time
favorites.
favorites.
Like, listen to advice, but also like, with a critical ear and believe in your work, right?
Well, Michael
That was
Jordan didn't make his varsity team, right?
All right. Yeah.
right, or
Don't you
whatever.
think
So that
so?
was your manager, you said, right? Was the one who's like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was.
no,
And he's
I-
also from New York, and he
Yeah.
would say "fuck that guy"
He's
even to
great.
someone
Is
that
that
was
the
nice
manager
to us.
Jan barfed on, or
No, different
no,
guy.
no.
That
Okay.
guy, he's doing great things as well. They're all
Okay.
doing great things. Everyone's doing great stuff.
Well,
but
you guys are doing great things. Is there anything
Yeah.
new you'd like to play us?
Oh man.
I think we can. I
We
bet
can
what
send
I
you a
could do is
track.
I could send Tony a song that isn't even out.
Yeah.
Yes, do
Send him
it,
some-
do it.
breaking
Later.
news?
Sorry,
Yeah,
if I had a
we'll
tail,
debut a song. It'll piss off our management, but I won't tell them.
do it.
It'll be easy.
Oh my
It's
god,
that
that's
easy.
what
I just
we
won't
want.
tell him.
That's amazing.
Oh
And
my
we'll
God.
splice it in.
How do you do
right
it? Don't tell
Now.
him.
Will you take the road with me and drive into the sand? Will you float a mountain with me down into the meadowland? We can dream the things we wanna see and see the same things too. We can have the home we wanna have, and we can have a garden. I will never stop being the lover you need. You will never see my demise. Sentimental presents, I've always got you on my mind. I've always got you on my side. Don't play, you're wasting energy. Don't wait, I've got the fantasy saved. Don't break my heart, it may even wait for you still. We can dream the things we wanna see and see the same things too. We can have the home we wanna have, and we can have a garden. I will never stop being the lover you need. You will never see my demise. Sentimental presents, I've always got you on my mind. I've always got you on my side. Sentimental presents, I've always got you on my side. Sentimental presents, I've always got you on my side.
Oh my god,
Damn,
you
we're
heard
good.
it here first
dokey.
on Rockerness.
We did just spend time out in y'all's neighborhood out in L.A. and
Oh, yeah?
made an album with Jonathan Rado, and
Oh, sweet.
he is super smart and is basically, it felt like he was in our band for 3 weeks, which was really cool. But
That's what you want, really. But you guys
Yeah.
have worked with everybody at this point. The list is
Chaka
long
Khan.
and crazy.
yeah, Earth, Wind and Fire, Nirvana.
Now you're so low key about it, but like,
No, I
shit with
think that
Chuck
we're
now.
good at being friends with people, and I think that's like you were saying
Totally.
earlier. It's like failure or friendship or all of it. It's just like being calloused but not being jaded. I think, and it's like I can take negative criticism and keep pushing forward because I've gotten negative criticism and been shot down a million times.
Yeah.
So it hurts less every time it happens, you know? So, and I think vice versa, getting into a room and being like a Rado archetype, it's because he did it so many times and probably failed many times. Like, wow, I wish that would have been a cool record if only I was better at it, but then kept doing it. So now no one can really touch him in that world, at least in our age group, where he can like go and record The Killers and then turn around and record Wise Blood and then do a Lemon Twigs. Like, those dudes are insane. And now he's convinced him to sometimes be the house band. Like, they played on the Wise Blood album, and it's
Oh,
like
wow.
he's capable of like harboring awesome people who believe in him to also then contribute to other great artists that he brings in. And I think that's like everyone's dream, is to be able to be that well liked, but also that well respected. That will Rado be a household name ever? Maybe not, but I don't think he wants to be. I think he just wants to make timeless music that he appreciates and feels valued in making. Otherwise, he'd be writing Yummy and stuff like that, but he's never doing that.
Full
He like
circle.
doesn't want that. He's like would die, I think, if he was in that studio, or he wouldn't money wise. He'd have a great
Well,
time.
It was really sick, yeah. Like,
we really cannot wait to hear
But
those songs.
we'll give you some weird one. I know
Can I
you've
tell
already
a
heard
weird
it.
story
Well, they've
about
already
that
heard it,
record?
so that was
Yeah.
a real weird one that we showed him already.
yeah.
Tell us the weird
Oh, yeah.
story.
Tell us a weird story, please.
Take
All
us
right.
out.
So you guys are from Los Angeles. I don't know if you've ever felt this energy, but I do feel like there's a couple cities in America that are kind of like generators. Like, you show up and shit happens, and it's kind of like what you put into it. You know, it's like New York is a good example. Like, if you're going to Los Angeles to like get through a relationship or something, or go through some shit, you know, it's like Gasoline City.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just gonna burn you.
Yeah.
But if you're there to like set some dreams forward, like make some art, it's like really cool, and stuff just keeps happening, you know, and it's a very small world in that way. And I'm kind of always looking for stuff like that, just because it lets you know, like, you know, if your day is strange, it typically means your life is good, because shit's interesting. You know what I mean? And synchronicity is kind of a funny thing to mess around with, but I constantly ask myself all the time, I'm like, all right, what's the shit I'm doing today that I knew about when I was a kid? And I ask myself that all the time. And there's always some like really freaky cool evidence of that. But in LA, it was like the loudest of my life. It was super funny. And every single day would be kind of weird like this, to the point where Rado and I were just kind of like, what the fuck's going on? You know, and he's like, this is weird. And Johnny was like, would have a dream, and I'd be like, that's what we were talking about 10 minutes ago. And it was just, the whole thing was cool. But there's a day where I'm asking myself that. I go to Groundwork Coffee,
Yeah.
you know, that's where I'd
Hollywood.
spend my mornings, and I wanted to start waking up with the
You
sunrise.
have to tell them that we walk to Rados every day because
We did,
We didn't
yeah.
have the money to afford.
Yeah, we
Ubers
didn't
and
have the
Lyfts,
money
so
for
we walked like
Ubers in
7
LA.
miles there and 7 miles
Yeah.
back
Oh my
every
God.
day.
In
Yeah.
the snow.
We
with
almost
the
did. It was
Uphill
sharp
both
bars.
ways.
Oh, dude, I was feeling great after
By the
that
end of
trip.
it, yeah.
I was waking
So in
up
shape.
like, I still wake up before the sun now, because 2 hours behind, it makes it very easy to just hop up in LA and be up in the morning. So anyway, I'm at Groundwork. I'm asking myself, like, all right, what's the shit I knew as a kid that I'm doing right now? And basically, to preface this, like, I'm from the middle of nowhere. I'm from like Monterey, Tennessee. It's a little town, but growing up in the 90s, like, we quickly had the internet when it was possible to have it, and like movies were the escape always, you know? So the whole time we're in Los Angeles, I'm from Podunk Town, so in my head it's like Fievel Goes West kind of, but it's like Little Ron in Hollywood, you know?
Yeah.
But when I'm Little Ron in the country, you know, your movies are like where you like see possibility, you know, so you latch on to characters that are your age, you know, you're like, that's
Oh,
me
yeah.
in the movie, that's
Yeah.
me in the show, and it gives you someone to relate to. So there were two characters in particular that for whatever reason I just was like fixated on as a kid. The first of them was the kid that gets kidnapped at the very beginning of Jeepers Creepers 2. It was like my rainy day movie growing up. It came out when I was in middle school, so like hundreds of times I'd stay home and I'd watch Jeepers Creepers, and this kid gets like flown away at the beginning, and the whole movie is like his dad and his brother going to find it. So hundreds of times I was like, damn, that's me in the movie. Like, what if I died right now? Like, that'd be crazy. I'm 12. And I'd be like, but my dad would fuck that guy up. Like, you know, and I'd be like, don't worry, me. Like, he's going to get you. Just kept reliving that. Another one was the show Monk back in the day.
Yes, with Tony Shalhoub.
Yes. And his first, like, assistant, her name was, like, Sharona or something. And her whole story arc was like, Monk, I love you, but like I gotta go home. I have a son, you know. I can't work all the time. She's like from Jersey, and so I'm a little kid. I'm watching that show with my grandparents, watching her son in the show with his grandparents, and I was always like, man, she's just out hustling for you. And I'd be like, my parents out hustling, you know. They want to hang out with me, but they're not. And it would comfort me. So anyway, yeah, we're recording this day, and the day starts to get weird anyway, because we're calling in people to perform on it and stuff. And there was like a baby moment where our buddy Harry, he plays in like Still Woozy and a bunch of bands. He's a drummer.
Yeah, shout out Still Woozy.
Harry Terrell.
Yeah, Harry Terrell. He ends up playing on our record, and that was like a bunch of like hop around weird stuff where it was like very cool and very fitting that he was even there in the first place. And like I went and saw Still Woozy at Forecastle and like didn't recognize him. I literally stared at my friend I hadn't seen in years for like an hour, and I'm just like, wow, what a cool drummer. So anyway, Harry is like, dude, I'm in LA. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm in LA. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I could come hang. I was like, can you record? So he's like, shit, I can just today. And he shows up. So I get to see Harry, and then we're talking. I'm like, man, synchronicity is just throwing Harry at me. It's fucking cool. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. And then he's like, I got to go. I've got 10 days to learn this entire band set. I'm touring with them for 3.5 weeks. And I'm like, who is it? He's like, Magic City Hippies. And I'm like, well, fuck you, because that's what I'm going on in 3 weeks. Magic City Hippies tour. I'll see you then. And he was like, all right, that's weird. So then we call these people in. And like I said, Jeepers Creepers 2, Little Monk, you know.
Yeah.
And
Don't forget Kim Possible.
Right, Kim Possible, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we call people in. In comes this opera singer. You know, he played in a band with Rado in the past. He was in Foxygen. His name's Sean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's
shit,
cool as
from
fuck.
Foxygen.
Yeah. And we're all friends now. It's very cool. Like, nice guy. He sang on the record. But he is, I shit you not, the little kid from Jeepers
Shut the
Creepers.
fuck up.
Yeah,
No.
he is.
The
Straight
child
up.
actor.
The child actor.
Wow.
Little me in the movie.
And the voice of Ron Stoppable.
And the voice of Ron Stoppable
Oh
is
my
Sean.
God.
He's
And
an awesome guy.
he walked into the studio, and I was like, damn, that's what I knew when I was a kid. Keeps going. We're recording, and then we call these drummers in, and this dude Kane shows up. He plays for like Haim and a bunch of people. And I shit you not, he's the little kid from Monk. He literally was in the studio that day. Yeah,
we had
both
two
both of them.
child stars.
My
same day?
And
God.
so that's
Same
where
day,
like all
yeah.
day we're like, this record's gonna be fun because we got the Monk guy
Yeah.
and the dude from
And the
Jeepers
dude from
Creepers.
Jeepers. Yeah.
Wow.
It kept
All in the
happening the
drums.
whole
That's
trip.
beautiful.
The whole trip was like that.
That
the
is
whole trip.
insane, and
Yeah.
that totally is the LA magic.
Oh, it
and
is.
this is
I felt
why I can never leave.
I know.
Just don't go through a breakup. It'll burn you alive. It's all good. But
Oh
just
no,
don't do
done
that.
and done. I already did that. So, but
okay.
man, you guys, thank you so much for
Johnny
coming.
and Aaron. Thanks
We
for
could
making
literally
it
talk
open.
to you
Okey
all
dokey.
day, but
Thank you.
this was so. Thank you for being amazing. This was so
Yeah.
much fun.
Hilarious.
great time.
Of course.
I freaking love you guys. Miss you guys. Johnny Fisher and Aaron Martin. Okey Dokey. Check them out.
One.
So we told you that was a sneak peek, but actually it came out in February. That's just kind of what happens when you're time traveling in podcast land. But it is called 1144, and you should go stream it immediately. Good news, Okey Dokey is putting out new music in the fall, so follow them on their socials to keep in the loop on that. You can follow us too. All of those links will be in our show notes as always. There's going to be a lot of fun little cultural touchstones in the show notes this week as well. We actually spend a fair amount of energy on making those cool, so check them out if you're curious about any of the random artists, movies, etc. that we called out in the episode today. But what we'd really like is if you subscribed, followed, liked, etc. our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever the hell you listen. If you want to give us a little thumbs up or 5 stars, or even better, a review if that's a thing anymore, we sure would appreciate it. We know what we're doing is cool, but unfortunately, we need you to tell Big Daddy Algorithm. As I mentioned earlier, we are taking a short break to get some more episodes ready for you, and we will be back with more Season 3 before you know it. See you then!